Unacademy. Let's crack it.
नमस्कार, जय हिंद। आप सभी का स्वागत है इस सेशन में। वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन, काफी बातें चल रही हैं। जल्दी से आपको एक ही पेज पे हम समझाने की कोशिश करते हैं कि आखिर क्या, क्यों और कैसे वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन की बातें हो सकती हैं या हो रही होंगी। आप सभी का स्वागत इस सेशन में। आई जस्ट वांट टू प्रूव इन जस्ट फ्यू मिनट्स हाउ दिस इज गोइंग टू इफेक्ट मे बी इन आवर whatever constitutional structure it is. So if I talk about one nation one election, एक बात तो हमें लग रही है कि क्या इससे वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन वन बटन तो नहीं बच जाएगा। एक बहुत बड़ा यहां पे रिसर्च आता है कि वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन कैन रिजल्ट इनटू वन बटन। Yes, according to some researches that the people who are going to do one election voting, they are either or they are likely to press the one button more as compared to giving two different parties. तो one nation one election का जो मतलब है वो ये है that your state assemblies and your whole union sort of election is going to held or is going to be held together. और जब एक साथ होगा तो कहीं ना कहीं देयर वुड बी टेंडेंसी ऑफ दैट पर्सन टू वोट फॉर अ सिंगल पार्टी ओनली, सो बिकॉज देयर वुड बी टू बैलेट्स केप्ट. So one nation one election means that your state assemblies plus your union goes to voting at the same time. So there would be two ballots for the same person. He goes to the ballot house, presses the button, and it is higher tendency that the people or the parties that are there at the top, they would be pressed more and more, and also the same parties could be pressed here. So my only contention, can it become one nation one election one button? Also it is said that this one nation one election can also be only brought into effect if there are certain amendments being brought. Without amendments it cannot happen, and these amendments are to be in Representation of People Act, will also be into some constitutional articles, for example 83, for example 174, for example article 356, etc. Now, please let me know in the comment box what is Article 356. Let me see if you have done this or not. So there are a lot of amendments that are going to take place. Also, one nation, one election is also against the idea of Article 1. It is against the Article 1's ideology. Article 1 क्या बोलता है? It is union of states. India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. पर आपने क्या किया? वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन से सारा कुछ ही यूनियन में तब्दील कर दिया। तो वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन कहीं ना कहीं आर्टिकल 1 के आइडिया को भी झकझोर के रख देता है। वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन की एक और बात आपको पता है, कहा जा रहा है वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन कैन actually bring about only the national issues that would be pursued. The national issues will be pursued as compared to the regional issues. As compared to the regional issues, the national issues will be pursued. Not only this, suppose the elections are being fought, and if the elections are being fought, the people who would be under certain influence, they would understand that I have to vote only for a national party. They will only come to our state also. So this is what the national issues can be there much more effective as compared to the regional issues. Also, do we have staff? Do we have resources? The last we checked, even the resources we had for our police security forces were too minimal. I don't think so that we have so much of resources that at one election, one nation, one election thing, every such personnel or every such resource crunch would go away. The crunches remains the same. Also, the EVMs that are being used would be used so less. Imagine, one nation, one election means in a total time framework, your state assemblies and your nation both are at election. So EVMs would be used very less. They would be used mainly in 15 years only 3 times. So the EVMs would have an expiry date. And do we have such a number of EVMs that can be brought about for one nation, one election? I highly doubt that also. So these were some of the negatives of what one nation, one election can construe. But there are positives also. Law Commission report as submitted its report in 2018, the Chauhan Search report says that It is actually difficult. It is actually difficult, but can be made effective if brought by some amendments. It is difficult, but can be made effective if brought by certain amendments. Second, 60,000 crore rupees were spent in 2019 election. Please understand, 60,000 crore. And this was because every election in India is a festival of democracy and the people would like to celebrate that. 60,000 crores were spent in the general elections of 2019. And for state elections, a lot of thousands of crores are again wasted or incurred upon. So the commission and the government feel today, and the many people who support this idea of one nation, one election, they feel that if there is actually one only time framework of all the elections, then whatever kharcha being done, whatever expenditure being done, it would be somewhat limited. It may not breach, because 60,000 crore plus other state assemblies election expenditures, it would go up to more than lakhs of crores. It could be saved. So the exchequer burden could be actually lessened. The money that is being flown into such elections could be less. Third, one nation, one election can bring about good governance. Now, this is an idea. We are not sure it is going to bring or not, but people say that it can bring in good governance. For example, the political parties are almost in a zeal of election every month, every year. At least if we decide that we are going to have one nation, one election only, then they would be sitting and doing some work for the 4 years, and for 1 year they can be looking out for having some electioneering thing. So good governance can be boosted because we will not have all the years and months for election, only a limited time framework for our elections. Also, it is said that one nation, one election is going to bring about efficiency of our administration, and the deployment of the police forces could be somewhat hassle-free, which I highly doubt, because we don't have that much of resources as is required to conduct one nation, one election. Also, it is said that the voter turnout is going to be bigger. The voter turnout is going to be bigger because people would come out of their home, they would understand, "Arey, ek hi baar to chalna hai, let's go and give the vote." Voter turnout can increase. So there are some positivities, but I highly fear that Article 356 is going to be a lot bigger trouble. Because imagine if I were to conduct the elections, so union and the state assemblies are going to have elections all at the same time. But imagine if the state assembly of Kerala or Tamil Nadu or any such place was dissolved or was brought under the effect of Article 356. Then imagine the election took place in Kerala or any state, and there was Article 356 that was applied there after just 1 year. So whether the next 4 years are going to be in certain suspension only, or the elections would take place now, because one nation, one election would mean now the election will take place after 4 years now, with every such state assembly and with the union. So that is some idea that is still being challenged, that how are you going to do this? And it is against the idea of federalism also. We are our own kind of federalism. It is very difficult to maintain one nation, one election. Of course, I would like to ask you a question here. Are there any countries that perform one nation, one election thing? Please do let me know in the comment box. Also, I must tell you, India has followed this one nation, one election thing since 1951 to 1961. We had one nation, one election only. But ever since 1967, when the politics is going to diversify to the state level, regional levels, since then, we are going to have different times for the different state assemblies having elections and the union having its elections at a different time. So this is what is going on. But yes, it could be weighed down. The time has come that the people have to generate a consensus and awareness that what it is all about. Is it only about saving the money, or is it about making India such a democratic country where the people can understand the power of their vote? If it is so, it should be promoted. And it can only be promoted when we have that awareness of politics, that awareness of political thing in the country. Looking down forward for a lot of awareness being generated. That would be all from my side. Thank you so much. Take care. Jai Hind for
Unacademy. Let's crack it.